play. We should be recording. I'm going to crank up the volume here. And then I'll just cut off the very beginning of the video.
Okay, with us just being like...
So, Julie, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your diverse ability? Just a quick introduction.
Okay, well, my name is Julie, and I just turned 23, and I am a master's student at Mizzou studying music, and I just graduated with a double major in vocal performance and German from Webster University. I'm originally from St. Louis, and I'm blind. I was born with glaucoma, and it's the kind that runs in my family. It's genetic, and so I have some other family members who also have this. I can see a little bit, but not enough to read print or obviously drive or like see street signs really or anything like that. So I use a guide dog, and I use Braille and other adaptive technology to do my schoolwork and live independently.
Awesome. So I know that there are a lot of things that instructors do that are sort of difficult and challenging for us. So your top 3 things that instructors do that really just irritate you and do not work for you.
I think top 3, and these aren't really in any particular order. One would have to be setting us apart, and it's one thing that I am really interested in changing, especially in a high school or middle school setting, because as students, we're already set apart because we have, a disability and we're blind or whatever it may be. We're already set apart. Well, we don't need a teacher to, for example, seat us in a different place or treat us in a different way or anything like that. And it's one thing to come up to us after class and say, hey, am I doing everything okay? Like, I know you can't see the board. Am I describing? Am I, this or that? But it's another thing to point out in class and to kind of point out that student separately and to say, oh, Julie, you can't see this. What are we going to do with you? And to stop the entire class. And I've had that happen before. And it's not, it makes you seem like apart from the other students. One of the other things is more of a practical kind of thing is I don't appreciate it when professors and teachers don't describe things. And I think that honestly this is more of a something that I could take care of or whoever the person is with the disability could take care of on their own and say, hey, I can't see what you're writing. Would you mind describing? And their professors, I've had to say that multiple times because I guess they're just used to pointing at something going, and like this, you copy this down, and there you go. Well, that doesn't really work so well if you can't see what they're indicating, So there's that. And the other thing that really bothers me is when teachers have lower expectations of you because you have a disability. And I've had teachers who have modified projects and said, well, it'll take you longer to do this, so let's just modify this entire project for you. And that's not really realistic,
Cool. Yeah.
When we go into the job market, no one's going to modify it for us. It's going to be so unmodified that we are going to have to modify it for ourselves. And in school, we're lucky enough that we can talk to a professor and say, hey, the visual aspect of this project is difficult. I can't really help, I can't really collect pictures on my own. So could I get a reader? Could I get a pair of eyes to help me do this part of the research? And that's one thing. And that's good for a teacher to, understand that part of it. But it's another thing entirely for them to change the project around so you don't have to do the work. That's not going to help you at all. So I suppose those are my top 3.
And those are right on. I totally agree with that. So on the positive side of things, what are 3 things that instructors can really do better to better teach you and better include you in their class? Top 3.
Okay, I think the first one, and it kind of goes along with what I was talking about earlier, is, to just treat you like another student. if I raise my hand in class and I give you the right answer, don't act like it's the most amazing thing in the world that I knew the right answer and read the textbook. Yeah, you know, and then I've had teachers do that before because they usually do my homework and read the books and stuff like that. So I've had teachers freak out because, you know, I can be top of the class if I want. It doesn't mean I always am. I procrastinate with the best of them, but you know, it's just better to, you know, treat your students in general like every other student, because if you really think about it, every student has some sort of thing that they're working through or working with or against, I suppose, as it will. And so, you know, teachers should be aware of that. And just because, you know, mine is more visible, it doesn't really make it all that different. I think another thing that a teacher could do is keep up with the student, you know, after class or through email, or if you're working with little kids, it would have to be through their TVIs or whatever it may be, just to keep up with them and make sure, you know, they are describing and that they aren't doing anything that's offensive, or not that you should be super worried about that, but, you know, just to make sure that everything is good and that the student doesn't have any questions, because some of us will speak up and say, you didn't describe, you know, what you were drawing on the board in class today, so I didn't take proper notes. Some students won't really be able to say that as easily as others, especially if you're working with teenagers or younger students. They don't quite know how to advocate for what they're missing yet. So, you know, it's always good to keep up with them. The third thing I would say is just to be observant and, you know, to know that every person with a disability isn't the same. So, you know, if you have 2 blind students in, you know, 1 year after the next, and you have one who just, you know, who does everything auditorily and like uses the Braille, but is way more of an auditory learner and, you know, is really good when you give verbal descriptions. And then you have one who says, that doesn't work for me. I need to have my stuff in Braille and I need to take my notes and I need to look at this. You know, it's not an anomaly. There are blind people out there, for example, who are visual learners and who, you know, learn differently. So not every blind person is the same. Not every person with a disability is the same. And I think it's important for society as a whole to know that, but it's also important for teachers to know that, especially because you are teaching them. So it's up to you to understand the learning styles of these people.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything just random you want to add?
I don't think so. I think that's
very
that's very good.
Very helpful.
Yeah, if anyone ever has any questions, so, you know.